of the Community Redevelopment Agency on Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. Let's all stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving along to citizens' comments. Citizen comment will be accepted during the citizen comment portion of the meeting on any non-agenda item, future agenda item, or topic of relevance to the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Bradenton. Comments will be accepted on the public hearing at the appropriate time.
None, sir.
None. Okay. Seeing as there are none, we will move along to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we, to approve the consent agenda, item number 4A.
Okay.
Second.
Second, great. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda is passed unanimously. Next up, downtown CRA.
Mr. Chairman, during the last budget, the CRA provided $250,000 to the city for improvements to Rossi Park. And they are continuing to proceed with that. They've made last time we talked, we were checking on that. They've made some changes to what they're doing that we just wanted to bring it forward to the board so the board would know what's going on with the money and where they're going to spend it. And we have Bill Ackles here, who's representing the city today.
Okay, great.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Just to kind of touch base on what Jeff opened up with is the project is proceeding. However, there's been, and I've lost my things here, haven't I? A couple adjustments to basically placement and design. The products still remain essentially, the same. It's their sunshades. And so as you see on your screen, I'll try to demonstrate to you exactly what you have. So there's just a little bit of clarity. We just wanted to give you the update, that's all. The project, as you said, it's over at Rossi Park. And we talked about the placement you'll see on the slide on the right side of the screen of the one bordering the splash pad, and then products that are going to be placed in front of the stage area. Now, when I say in front of the stage, that's not going to block them, and you're going to see that in just a second and when they demonstrate it. This is going to be the placement in front of the stage. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow for the blockage of the sun later in the afternoon. It's a pretty good depiction here with the guy standing there, but you'll see the bottom of the stage is actually, the bottom of the shade is actually 10 feet. It's not going to block the stage or obstruct the stage in any way, but when it gets in the later afternoon, especially in the summertime, that's going to provide the people from watching whatever's on the stage from being blinded by the sun. The second one is going to be, these are the products that are going to be border the splash pad, a little bit over top of the forever lawn, a little bit over top of the splash pad, which is something that even at the times that I've been out there with the community, people are constantly, especially at the splash pads, get us some shade, get us some shade, get us some shade. Having said that, what we've kind of done is also, you're going to see in just a minute, that the exercise pads, when you go around over by the hospital, those shades need to be replaced over top of the exercise portion of it. They call it the exercise pad or whatever it may be. There's 3 of them in there. We're not going to change anything on that. We're just going to replace damaged ones. In combining the two, we were able to get the cost for both under the $250,000 that you granted us. Plus, we were even able to get reductions further in the costs. So our costs keep going down. That's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. The Rossi Park ones, they're kind of there. They're right around the $208,000 range. That's a pretty big construction project. And the ones that you'll see in just a minute that need to be replaced over at the exercise pads, it's pretty much just more of of reinstalling those once the product gets there. And I think they reduced that down to 39. So we're good, and the prices keep going down. The concern maybe you might have about the Rossi Park project is it's a construction project. They're gonna go in there, they're gonna pour some footers, they're gonna tear stuff up. It's gonna be a disruption. What we're looking at is the replacement for the exercise pad covers to be done mid-April, early to mid-April, and the Rossi Park project to be totally completed before the end of June. So once we get into the 4th of July events and everything else like that, it'll be just completely and totally done. I've received assurances from the contractor, from the guy that we're working with. Yep, we're right on time. Everything's going. As a matter of fact, they're getting ready to submit the permit application to the city of Bradenton. So once they do that, the movement at that is actually on our shoulders, not on their shoulders, but it's progressing forward. We just wanted to give you an update, kind of exactly, so you guys know exactly what's going on. Blue shades, just like we talked about some different colors and things like that, but in order to match kind of with the fading and stuff like that, we didn't want to go too crazy on it. And the Rossi Park ones, what you'll see is, just in case you're not familiar with the location that I'm talking about, it's right over across from the hospital as you come around the curve. And you can see the picture of what happened to them, and they're gone now. It doesn't look like that right now. Those shades are just simply missing. And what we'll do is, you'll see on the depiction with the blue triangles exactly all what we're doing there. So again, that's the cost, where we started off, I think, at $41,000. It's reduced down just the other day to another $39,000. So just kind of show that we got the money. We're still within that grant amount that we're going, and I don't know if we'll be fortunate enough to lower the price anymore, but if they keep dropping it, we'll keep taking it.
Yeah.
Should we wait?
That's it. We just wanted to get you an update, that's all.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Ackles.
Yes, sir.
Regarding discussion, comments, I see.
Questions?
Yep, questions. Ms. Coker
Yeah.
first, and then Ms. Moore.
With regard to, during the project, are you gonna have to close down all of Rossi Park, or just a small area of it? And are there any events that were previously scheduled for there that we're going to interfere with?
Yeah, we've already addressed the events that were going there. Kelly obviously was involved in that and knows, well aware of it. The construction of it, whether we actually closed the entire park or not, I'm not entirely certain of that answer. I would venture a guess that, depending on where they are at the construction, it could be. It could be for a portion of time. I don't know how long, because they do go in and they're gonna pour footers. I mean, they're gonna rip up part of that forever lawn. They're gonna pour the footers, so this is not just something like a sign, even those reinforced signs that we use sometimes where we bolt it to the ground. Now, these things are structures. So obviously you know why, because when the wind comes up, so they don't blow away, and instead of having sunshades, we have kites. But yeah, so it's not a major, where we were looking at it, I think they go down, I can't remember exactly how deep they go down into the footers and everything else like that. So there might be a portion of time where it's pretty much shut down, just because it's a construction site. That's it.
Thank you.
Ms. Moore?
If you, maybe you've already done this, but maybe it would be a good idea to get with Ms. Shadiq to begin advertising the disruption in the park, if we're going to be able to move that quickly.
Yeah, we'll keep her, that'll all be, we'll keep it out and posted and everything else as soon as we get it. The big thing this way, I would say, with the park, more so, because from what I understand with the exercise pad, it's just them going out there, securing them up. But the pad, we really don't have a time yet when they'll start. And I say this kind of tongue in cheek, but also sincerely, is because once they get that permit application in, the guys that they're waiting on is us. I mean, it's on our shoulders. So once we know that, I'm sure we'll get with everybody and get the notice out, and so that people know and everything else like that, and kind of get the word. So regardless of the interruption, I think from what I've been talking about with people just bumping into them when I'm walking around out there, it's going to be a welcome thing, especially at that splash pad, because I hear that
It's brutal.
every time. What are you guys doing? Well, we're going to put up some shades. Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
So,
Any other questions?
No.
Need a motion?
Yes, do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the revised design and placement for the Rossi Park Sunshade Project as requested by city administration within the previously authorized funding amount of $250,000.
Second.
Ms. Coker with the motion and Ms. Moore with the second. Go to the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda in the downtown CRA is the Community Redevelopment Agency scheduling of the Singing River official dedication. I know that Mr. Campbell is very much looking forward to discussing this.
So, this is one of the things about having projects that are completed and successful is then you have to start learning how to announce them and have a policy for that. And this was just a experience on learning that. So in the end, we told everybody, including city staff, that on CRA projects, the CRA board will determine when they want to have if they want to have, and when they want to have their groundbreaking or ribbon cutting. And in this case, it's a ribbon cutting. And in the past, in other cities, I have had caterers come out and just put something, tables out, and depending on what you want to do. This is a big project for public art. It's the biggest project I've been involved with as far as dollars are concerned. So, and it's obviously a statement piece on the Riverwalk. So I would suggest you might want to consider, we've done this before, we're on a city council day, or if you want to do it in the evening, we can even arrange that. We just need a little time to get with a caterer, have everything set up, have it set up for a couple speeches, and then and a ribbon cutting in this case. So the question is when would you like to do that? I will tell you this, the Bradenton Herald has been calling me, and I have been putting them off until I know when the ribbon cutting is, because they wish to attend.
Got it, understood on that. If I may comment just for a minute, I do think that this is a big project that everyone is gonna love. There are lots of stakeholders in it. As an arts community and as a community, I think it was the right thing to do in terms of visibility. We don't wanna leave anyone out, and we want everyone to be included in that. I'm happy that this came before us, and thank you, Dr. Burton, for bringing it to us this way, because this won't be the only one. And I do know that, I think it's extremely important, because people do want to celebrate it, and we should be proud of it. And it is a significant piece that will attract people to the Riverwalk. So having said that, in terms of, Ms. Coker, in terms of, yeah, in terms of
Oh, yeah.
scheduling everything else.
And Todd.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Prior to deciding, I did reach out to the artist and ask his availability around the May-June timeline. He suggested providing a few different dates so we can make sure that we, have his availability as well. So just wanted to let you all know about that.
May, June timeframe?
I just reached out and said, I don't know if we can make April happen, maybe late April, but just
Well, and late-
reached out for May, June, and
Late April, the city is covered up with the grand parade and
Oh,
a
okay.
few other things, so.
so I just wanted to provide that feedback that he recommended, if he could get it 1 or 2 dates, 2 dates minimum, just so he can make sure which date works best in his schedule.
Well, and along the lines that I like for our advisory boards to feel valued, I think that they need input, the Public Art Board needs input on this, personally.
That goes without saying. I'm not having all of those art people.
Well, but the other thing is if if it's far enough in advance and we provide the artist with a couple of dates, you know, we definitely want the artist here, and if people are given far enough notice, again, I would think it would be a workable thing.
I just, having served on that public art, I know how much time it is to go select the artists and meet with them and you remember.
I
mean,
do
yeah,
remember,
and
but
so-
again, I think if we pick a couple of dates and having the artist here is critically important.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you get into June, you're getting into people's vacations and things, and that's gonna be difficult. So I would say May would be better.
Just don't do Memorial Weekend.
No, I don't think doing any, you okay?
Is it in my box?
Crushed by an apple box. Hate when that happens.
That's my seat.
Yeah, short people problems.
Tim
Um,
Savage.
I agree that June is gonna get too late well, it's gonna be even harder to work around what is sounding like a large amount of people's schedules. Do the art board themselves have a meeting scheduled for May? Because maybe in lieu of their meeting, if they didn't have anything super, you know, like if they could punt or if we could work around their meeting, then that would already be on their calendars presumably.
We do have a meeting scheduled in May, they're typically 8 in the morning, which, you know, we could, with enough advance notice, we could push that back. We don't really, at this point, need to have a meeting, but
I
we
didn't
could,
realize.
we could reschedule our typical meeting for that launch date.
Again, I'm not trying to be dismissive of, but trying to schedule a meeting like this with the mayor, with the artist, with us, with advisory, there's never gonna be the perfect date, but the best way to ensure that people are aware of it and can arrange themselves to be able to do that is to put it far enough in the future that,
Save the date.
yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Again, I'm not being dismissive of the art board by any stretch of the imagination. Having done, as many of us up here, having done events, if it might be August before we are able to get something where every single person could come. But giving people enough, more than 2 weeks, 2 weeks' notice, not enough.
Okay.
So,
So then I guess the next question is are we looking at like a certain day or time of, he suggested a council meeting day. That would be Wednesday. Our council meeting in May is the 13th. We do not have a CRA meeting that day.
But you could do it later in the day, because
Yeah.
we know we're all gonna be in town. And,
Right.
yeah.
So would that be our
Well,
first?
like you said, we're gonna need multiple dates to provide to the artists, so.
Well, for me,
I'd recommend if you choose a Wednesday, that you give him a second date that's not a Wednesday, but in that way, if he does things on Wednesday consistently, you know, you're just spreading it around, so you could do a Wednesday, then there's Thursday, the 21st, which is a week after that, which would give him a Thursday and an extra week for everybody to be able to.
well, I'm assuming he's flying in?
He's local.
Is
He's
he?
a 3-hour drive away.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say like a Thursday or a Friday,
Not that,
and what?
not the 22nd.
Uh,
That's Memorial Weekend.
That Memorial Day weekend? Okay.
Yeah.
it's also Manatee High graduation weekend. The May 14 and 15 is the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council Summit, which I'm committed to attending, and I think we do have some staff that's
And
doing
there's a
that.
couple other conflicts on that, too.
There are a lot of high school graduations around
Yeah.
Why don't we just go the same week as the city council, like Wednesday or Thursday of that week?
Thursday for that week is the Tampa Bay Regional
Oh,
Planning Council.
okay.
But that would just be me. I think there is some staff, I think, but I don't know, it might be a little tough for me, but, what about the week before it? Is that too soon, do you think, to do a save the date?
It gives us almost a month and a half.
a month.
Yeah, at least a month, that's,
Just to get feedback.
Yeah.
You know, if we start tomorrow, we could at
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
get general consensus.
that's fine.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on offering him May 6 or 7 or 13? Those are 2 Wednesdays and a Thursday.
Sounds good to me.
I'm good with anything.
And then, what time were we thinking?
Late afternoon, evening, is that?
We could do, again, if, you know, later in the afternoon does give you a little bit more of a, you know, it's cooler probably.
Right.
And it gives, if people are working, you know, it gives them time to be able to get out and get there. So I would say in the, like later afternoon,
3.
yeah, in 3, 4, 5 o'clock, and then that gives us time to get it set up and everything's set up, and we could do it then.
Pam can come too.
Yay. I wouldn't do it much later than 5 because I think you lose people if they go home
Yeah,
after work, then they don't want to come back out.
yeah.
That's fine.
And then, again, I appreciate this. How do we avoid this in the future? I mean, is it just nearing completion? We
Well,
bring it up in a
yeah,
CRA meeting?
In the future, while we're nearing completion and the artist, you know, we can give the artist their final check at the ribbon cutting, which means the artist will show up.
Yes, they will.
So we will have it scheduled prior to completion, and we'll go from there. We'll bring it to a board meeting prior to, and have the board approve it a few months in advance, and then we can put out a save the date right after that.
How are we addressing the public since it's a park? And presumably there might be,
You mean the public attending the ribbon cutting, or the public
Right.
massing the park because you guys are gonna be there?
there are the two.
We could put an invitation at the park. You could
Oh, yeah.
put something out a week ahead of time saying,
We're
please
doing this
join
thing."
us.
And we also have the screens. We can talk to the bishop and see if they can stick something up.
It can be posted on the website as well,
Yeah.
and the city update.
I like the signage at the structure itself.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I also liked your idea about a little tchotchke type thing. Yeah, okay, good.
Absolutely. We'll work on that. Anybody
Need
that,
somebody to sing? No, I'm just kidding. I am just kidding.
of course.
No, I'm kidding.
It is, I was just
That's
gonna
his-
say that. I was
It's
just
his-
I
gonna
know,
say
I
that.
know somebody that can sing, yes, I do.
I know, but you
Board
don't
member
usually
Coker
sing
beat
in
me to
public.
it.
The art thing for itself.
Okay, moving along, new business, project updates?
Yeah, just so you know, and then Chris can talk about it if he wants to. MLK is currently out for RFP. I'm sorry, not MLK, Love Park.
Love Park will go out to bid tomorrow, and so then we'll probably have, I think the end of April, I think it's April 29th is the deadline day. So then we'll have a team to go out and start to, you know, to work with to start that renovation there. Coming up soon.
We are also heading toward a closing on the advertisement for Bryant Commons for sale for, it would probably be a housing project. So far I've heard townhouses, I've also heard multifamily housing, so it's not closed yet. So just letting you know that by the time we meet next, we should have a ranking of however many applicants we have for the purchase of that site. I'll also let you know that usually when things happen in society, financing tends to tighten up. So you can imagine right now with all the things that are going on in the world, that financing is at a trickle. It wasn't at a full-blown open faucet before, but it's even tighter than it is now. So folks that are lining up to do projects are probably slowing down a little bit because they cannot get the financing lined up because the banks are just waiting to see what happens next, which is normal. We have demolition for the Bellemere property, which is across from Lecon Park. We're lining that up. That should be happening sometime in the near future. The older buildings that we purchased, the property's right across from the gate. And we are talking to different folks about what type of project might go there. We've talked about parking lots. We've talked about mixed-use buildings, commercial, retail space, things like that on 9th. And we'll be bringing that back. But I just wanted to let you know that sometime in the near future, those buildings will be gone, and we'll have a cleared piece of property, and we will fence it off to protect it. So, because that would definitely be a major league parking space for somebody who's using Lecon Park. So,
Ask a question about that?
sure.
Have we closed on that yet?
Not yet.
We closed on the 7th.
Okay.
We're
Because I
tracking.
noticed a real estate for sale sign still on it.
I think it's on the property just south.
Oh, so we,
Right.
that's not included in the sale?
No, it's just north of 13th, I believe. I believe it's 13th. No, it's not 13th. It's just north of that
17th.
property. 17th, yes, ma'am.
So we are heading toward and lining up demolition for that. If you haven't been talking to, you will be talking soon to Professor Green from USF about Main Street. We will be getting you information. The application process for Main Street starts June 1st and closes September the 30th, I believe. And part of their agreement with us is to get us an application to submit to the Main Street program for the downtown Bradenton area. I strongly suggest you talk with him because he's just very, very knowledgeable person about urban redevelopment, and 2, about the Main Street program and what it can do. Not at this meeting this morning, but at the previous city council meeting, it was mentioned multiple times about a downtown business association. A Main Street program can provide that for you. So that's part of that program. Also, we will get you information every year. They have, just like the Florida Redevelopment Association, they have a Florida Main Street Association, well, not an association. The Department of State puts it on around the state of Florida in some city that has a Main Street. And it's not as big as the FRA, about half the size. But they have all kinds of programs discussing what Main Streets can do, how they do it. There's exhibits from other cities of what they're doing, and we will get you that information. And it's something you might wish to attend. It's usually later in the year. And I went to one in DeLand that was really good, and DeLand has a beautiful Main Street program. So, Chris, what else you got? Anything?
Before we leave the Main Street, may I?
Yes.
So you had mentioned in previous meetings that, that Mr. Green, Dr. Green, is it Dr. Green?
It's Professor.
Professor Green, I got distracted, that he has students, grad students collecting data. Will they reduce that in some kind of writing as part of the, like, will we get to hear whatever they collect?
Yeah, you will receive all that when they do their final present. In fact, they'll make the final presentation. The master's students will. He has about 6 of them working on this. They've been in the office, and I've worked with a few dozen graduate students on different projects, and they are usually very energetic and eager to show what they know. So, and they're usually up to date on all of the software and different types of data. So you'd be prepared. They will come in and show you all kinds of things that we don't know about the city of Bradenton, about the infrastructure in the area, and some really great ideas about how to place make and how to use the Main Street program to further your long-term goals. I will say this, that over the years, you know, when CRAs ceased to exist, what is, especially downtown CRAs, what is it that can be done that could continue those efforts. And a Main Street program is that type of long-term organization that can focus on, and it doesn't have to just be your main street in downtown. This can be done in other locations also. We just want to get the first one done so that we can get through the process and get it started. Once you apply and they accept, it's a 3-year process, and they strongly encourage participating in all of the training sessions. This is a national program that each state adopts, and Florida's had it around for quite some time. So it was built in response to malls taking businesses out of the old main streets, and it has evolved very well. So, but we will keep you up to date. If you're interested in knowing more about it, we can arrange for you to attend and actually talk to people that are running main streets.
Curious about that question, Dr. Burton. In a city of our size, is there different merchant areas, and are going to be? We talk about the downtown association. Is there any city of our size, say 60 to 100,000, that has like one association? Or, you know, I mean, we obviously don't want 5 or 10.
Right.
What are your
The
thoughts on
good thing about it, it's built similar to a CRA. You know, CRAs by state law, there's only one agency. There's only one board, a CRA board. You can have multiple areas, like Bradenton has 3, Tampa has 8. But there's, you know, it's the Lord of the Rings. There can, you know, one ring to rule them all. And this is the ring right here. So in the case of a Main Street, it's a nonprofit organization, and you could set them up to be running multiple main streets because it's the same structure. They have a very well-defined structure that has been built over decades. And you put your plan together, similar to a CRA. The reason it works so well in an existing downtown is because once it's set up and running, and once, you know, in this case, I would strongly suggest that, for instance, the downtown area, that the CRA fund it for a period of time to get it up and running, to prime that pump. And they know this, that once we cease to exist, that funding ends. They're not meant to be funded by CRAs in the long term. They are meant to be self-sustaining. And that's where that association comes in, because you become a member of the Main Street and you pay a dues to the Main Street. And there are things the Main Street does for that area. So there are also bids, business improvement districts that the state allows. If you ever want to talk about that, we can talk about that. There are, dare I say, DDAs. But the thing about the DDA is that you've learned about those. There are a few of them left in the state of Florida. It's like 13 left. But why we started this was because the city expressed an interest in like Main Street, and we need to know about how to do the parking on Main Street. We need to know about associations. We've heard this from just in listening at meetings. And the solution, in my opinion, is a Main Street program. And it gives you that other body to be able to assign them to do those things. While they're funded by the CRA, they would be treated like the police department or any other entity that receives money from the CRA. They would come in annually during budget. They would give you a report on what they've done. They would tell you what they plan on doing, and then you would approve their funding. And that way there's this accountability. But at some point, that has to end. So that's what we would do.
Great, thank you, Dr. Burton. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Wish to speak?
Yes, thank you. Gene Brown, Mayor, City of Bradenton.
Address?
Bradenton, Florida. Address. I thought that was a great presentation by Dr. Burton there about the Main Street merchants type situation. And we know that we need a kind of a merchant association to come together for all of our streets. And most of them are in the CRA to begin with. And that's one of the things that we on the city council and through the legislative budget put quite a bit of money into, where if there's a way to collaborate it, we could even grow it more where they're looking and working together. I didn't see my 3 minutes didn't start. No. But no, I think that's something that can be very collaborative with the merchants, because they are looking for something to combine them, not divide them. And right now, most of the small businesses don't have the time to do it.
Yep.
Where if there's a way to get it where Old Manatee, kind of all the way through 15th Street in West, to really set it up to succeed. And I think that's what this could be. That could be the carrot that gets things really rolling well.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excellent.
That
Any-
hurts.
I know, poor
I
thing.
know.
That hurts.
Any other updates, discussion?
Todd wants to talk to you about grants. He gave you a nice little
Yes.
Yeah, just briefly,
sheet of paper.
wanted to give you all an update on our grant program. I won't go into too much detail, but I wanted to provide a snapshot of our dashboard. As you can see, we're trending for we're not trending, we're at 21 grants, actually. I had one turned in yesterday, which is on pace with last year's grant applications of 48. So the program's strong, and I'd say even the applications we're receiving this year are more serious. By that, I mean, they're applying with intention, not just with the hopes of completing a project. So I expect to see more and more money being invested into our 3 different CRAs. Believe it or not, Tamiami Trail is the #1 utilization of our grant program. They're at 10 currently. They're really taking advantage of the public art grant. As you can see, there's some of those within the Village of the Arts that were put up through the Wonderwall Festival. So that's really a cool thing to see. As well as our downtown, the funding for that is, I believe, 74% of our total funding, up to just shy of $2,000. So we're making traction. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of it, give you a brief overview. If you had questions, I'm happy to answer them for you as well.
Okay, excellent. I saw Ms. Coachman start to.
Okay.
Do you have a?
Yes, she did say.
But do you?
I have a new thing that I haven't had a chance to ask anyone about, so it's gonna surprise everyone.
Let's do
I
that
read-
here.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
We may want
Do-
to do
yeah.
that first.
Okay, Ms. Moore.
So I have been thinking about, starting with the Dover Coal results, the draft that we've been reading, and just with some of the new developments that we've been doing in around downtown and the Riverwalk Park itself. I feel like we've got a lot of new projects, bringing a lot of new people, which is wonderful, and that's what we want. And you all know how I feel about like increasing mobility and all those great things. Something has been coming up more frequently when I'm out and about talking to people about all the things that we have going on, and that is the idea of a dog park. And as we consider, I know, he's already laughing. As we consider that we are, increasing density in some areas and making things a little more urban, and, as I go out to restaurants and talk to people and whatnot, the question is always, why are people not out? Why are people not walking around? And this was not my idea. There have been, and it's not even just the same person. One was my son. But I have been having a few people say, why don't you guys consider doing a dog park and get people who are living in all the apartments that are going up near downtown an outdoor space that they could socialize, and because it's dog-related, I think it would be used. So I'm throwing that out there as maybe as we consider hopefully extending the Riverwalk because of the.
Just so you know, in Candle District, when I first got to Tampa, they said, what's the biggest problem after I'd walked through? I said, you have too many dogs because they were killing all the plants that they had put out on the streets.
Oh, yeah.
And we had come up with a way to address that so that, because the other thing you need to know about dogs is that the owners of the dogs spend a lot of money on those dogs. And you find that if you have dogs in your neighborhood, the people will spend their disposable income in that neighborhood to improve it for the animals. We will look into that for you. Like I said, I've had an experience with a number of dog parks, and again, it's a healthy sign when you have a lot of animals in an area, because economically, the owners spend money, they really do, but you really have to plan for it and plan well, because, and then there's also the dogs themselves, you have to work to make sure that.
Right.
Yeah, so let me take a look at that, especially, and if you're known as a dog-friendly city, you're gonna draw those people with those expensive dogs into your city. And it's an interesting, kind of an analysis that it really does help your economy, because
Yeah.
they do spend money, so.
That was my thought
You can do
too,
that.
just like anecdotally, just to share with you guys. So when the art first started going up in Mineral Springs Park, that was the one citizen comment, was my son, who said, what are the dogs gonna do? And I said, that's not a dog park and they should be on leashes there. And so he was the first one that was like, well, what about the dogs? And then it was actually because of the apartments that are going up in between Sarah Studios and the Art Center. People also were telling me that, what are people gonna do with their dogs? And again, the answer was, well, that's not a dog park and you should have your dog on a leash. But there does seem to be an interest. And I find just in my own neighborhood, in my own personal life, that's how I get to know the neighbors, like before they're, whoever, Marie, they are, Spot's mom, or the lady that walks the beagle, that kind of thing.
I just wanted to ask if anyone remembers, seemed like 920, one of their draws was, there was supposed to be a dog something.
But that'd only be for their residents, I'm sure.
Well, I
Yeah.
know, but I'm just saying.
That was an amenity, yes.
Yeah,
I remember.
that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I was remembering that correctly, because I think that was like one of my first or second meetings, so it was a while back. I just wonder, but yeah, having a dog park or something, I just would like to know what liability.
Right, I think they're probably
would the
harder. I mean, Public
city
Works, I
have,
haven't talked to
you
anybody
know,
about it, so.
Absolutely.
Because, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to look into that too, just from like a cleanliness standpoint. I spent a
Yeah.
period of time in Florida and Miami, and it was literally a S show. So, it's just
Yeah.
something to look at too in terms of, and there are a lot of positives.
It's good to look
Agree with
into,
it.
'cause
Worth
that
looking
would
into.
be
It'd be
a draw.
fun.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd like to go back to the grants.
Yeah, back
if
to
we
the
could.
grants.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry,
Ms. Gilbert.
yes.
Sorry,
Yep.
I was not able to go to the Wall of Art or
The Wonderwall. Yes,
Wonder- Wonderwall.
Wonderwall, thank you. Because this was done with grant money? Is that what you're saying?
They are in the process of, they've applied for some grants, which is okay in our policy, because it's a permanent display of public art. So three of the 3 or 4, we have 4 applications. I have 3 of the after pictures here for you on the back, and thank you for pointing that out. I forgot to mention that earlier. But I just wanted to provide you with those screenshots as well.
I just want to make sure if something like that's done and they're using CRA money, that we are getting credit for it. So that people know that we're supporting them, because we took a hit having to remove some of the public art off the streets and stuff like that. And, I just want to make sure that, just
And
like any other grant, we're getting credit for it.
The Artist Guild is the applicant, and they did give us a shout out on their social medias as a,
We have
Helping
in our
contribute.
agreement that we have the right to put a sign out there displaying that this was funded by the CRA. We just haven't got to that point yet of
Okay.
getting those signs out there. But that's something we need to work on.
And also, especially with, when we start talking about public art, I know that we had a policy and procedures for public art, and it had to be approved as far as nothing controversial, if our tax dollars are being used at it. So I don't know who is making sure of that, because it doesn't sound like this process ran through the public art
So
board, did it?
It actually did.
It did? Good. Okay.
That's part of our policy is,
Okay.
they have to apply, then they have to be approved by the Public Art Board. And then the CRA Board. We let you have eyes on it prior.
That's why we have policies.
Mr. Campbell, outside, I'm just curious, outside of at Wonderwall, there were some murals and public art that were outside of the.
Oh, we've had quite a few murals
Yeah.
put up outside of Wonderwall, over the past year and a half.
Yeah,
I don't have
we've had-
that
we've had 'em
number,
in the
but-
downtown, we've had, to be honest with you, and I've told Todd this, I'm amazed how many public art grants we have. It's a 50-50 split, so, yeah, we pay, they pay. They have to do the work first. It has to be, depending on the size of it, either appraised by an art appraiser, or if it's less than $10,000, we go and check to make sure it was actually put up. Over by the Bradenton Ice Building, Ice Factory, there's we have one person put a mural up there.
Science printing.
The,
Magnolia Wellness put one up.
yes, I'm impressed that we've had this much. And at the same time, it does go through the art board. They verify that it is, in their opinion, art. And we've even had one we've taken to the planning department because it had verbiage on it, or a image of a mug of beer,
Oh, yeah.
just to make sure it was, it met the criteria of the city that it's not advertisement. So we definitely check to make sure everybody is checked, everybody's good with it. So, Chris, do you have anything else that's?
No, sir.
The only other thing is that Todd did go to the folks over at CDBG that also do SHIP, and on the redevelopment grants, just to give him we are working it specifically in Central, so that if you need a new roof, you probably qualify through SHIP, and then you would qualify with us, and that will get you most of the way to having impact windows or a new metal roof on your house. You have to go through the SHIP's process. The SHIP processes are much more restrictive than ours. So we are very comfortable, like if they meet SHIP, then we're good with it. They have to meet with the building code, all of those things. So as you can see with our graphs, that Central is lagging a little bit behind in grant applications. And that was one of the things that was brought to our attention was, they got to come up with the 50%. So we have partnered with CDBG to help meet that, so that makes it a little easier. Because in the end, it's usually the lower socioeconomic neighborhoods that suffer the most in a natural disaster. And the houses are usually older, the roofs are usually older, they're not impact windows. It's hard to put some of this stuff up to protect your windows. So this is our way of helping to ensure that, because we know what a hurricane can do now, to help make sure that everybody has an opportunity to protect their homes. Because in the long run, if we don't, it'll cost us more later as a community. So I just want to let you know that's what we're doing in Central to get the grants up. So other than that, I think it's it.
Great. Anything else?
I have something I want to bring up. And I guess I need clarification. Our community police unit, because it's considered a specialty unit, and it's really separate from the other specialty units because it's funded by, the CRA. What is it our funds are used for? I mean, I assumed it was everything, but I just want to.
So, community policing innovation under the statute, it's defined. It's one of those few things that actually defined it, and it's very close to community policing just in general. SEPTED. So, when we hire a community police officer, they're allowed to do just about everything that a police officer can do. They can do motorized patrol, they can do walking patrols, they can do neighborhood watch type things, they can do just about everything, and I can get you that definition. So the idea is for them to be in the neighborhoods, working with the community to not only address active criminal activity, but to be working to create improvements with us to reduce crime in the future, like lighting cameras, you name it, anything that may help reduce crime. And the state statute does not, put a lot of accountability measures into that. But we do in the fact that every year, just like everybody else that receives money from us, they have to come before this board. And that is this board's opportunity to address and discover and to curtail activities that are, if there's something that's going on that isn't working.
In terms of the policing, I think they're all doing an awesome job because the core of the crime, it includes all 3 CRAs and more in one than maybe the other 2.
Sure.
Now, the vehicles, are those purchased by CRA money?
Yes.
All right. So did we have the opportunity to even select the vehicles, or were they just?
They have to be specific.
I mean, I know they have to be, but I mean, were we?
Well, and that it comes down to, you're talking about policing. So you don't want Chris or I to be selecting vehicles for police officers.
I don't mean that, really. I'm just saying, would they at least come and say, we suggest trucks, or we suggest
they have,
Suburbans, or
they have
Yukons,
trucks,
Tahoes?
and they have the SUVs, and they also have vehicles, like cars.
Yeah, so.
But some of the vehicles, the trucks, they don't have a cage or anything, so if they had to transport someone to the jail, but I'm really not.
Usually, though, from what I've seen, the trucks are being used when they're dealing with homeless individuals and all of their, I'm just saying what I've seen.
All right.
The homeless activity, when they are dealing with someone that's homeless and they have all of their possessions with them, it's easier to put those in trucks. I don't know that I've seen them transfer a prisoner
Yeah, they have.
in the trucks.
Yeah.
So probably the best thing to do is at the next CRA board meeting is have the police department come in
Cab of the.
and answer your questions, because again, you're asking the wrong people.
And I'm really not really getting, I got into the weeds on that, and that wasn't where I was going. I guess what I'm saying is, I don't know if any of you got to visit the CRA police office, over at the parking garage. I went in there, it was kind of cute. Well, they've now moved. They've moved to a room or section of just jewelers. And I was like, well, who decided to do that? I mean, shouldn't we have some say on where they go? And then shouldn't we have?
Again, that is a question we need to bring in the police department administration to answer that for you. yeah, we learned about it in visiting Just Jewelers on a different subject. And then they applied for a city grant to help fund some of the furniture, not a lot of money, $1,200, I think it was. Yeah, so, if you would like to know more about that, we can arrange to have the police department come in and give you their, their policy on what they're doing.
I gotcha.
Yeah, it's,
I don't think it does.
you know, no offense to myself or Chris or Todd, but we're not. You want to talk about real estate? We'll talk to you about real estate. You want to talk about incentives? We'll bore you about incentives.
Okay, well, I wasn't really saying, we should have something or, we should be the ones that say, hey, I think you should raid that house, or you raid that. No, not that. I'm just saying, for them to be housed where their office is, evidently I felt there was no room on the other side of this building, and that's why they were there. But now to move somewhere else, I just didn't understand that
Or
part.
maybe it was a proximity, a location issue. I mean, I like your idea, Dr. Burton, because as the BPD moves away, that is a substation that's right here.
From my
Perhaps, I
understanding,
don't
the
know.
Tamiami Trail and downtown CRA officers are gonna be housed there
Where?
So just,
at the
well,
Just Jewelers location.
Oh.
And then the other,
so they're
I'm not
gonna
sure where the other.
split them up? I don't think, I think they're all, okay.
I'll be
never
happy
mind.
to.
We'll invite the police
Well,
department.
We'll have Ms. Coker,
I don't believe that we as a board should be making decisions like that. I think we have
About
to.
where they have an office?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't believe that, I think that that's law enforcement. I'm assuming that they're making that decision on what they think is the best for the policing.
Do you
And
think-
I don't think us being involved in that is a good idea. I don't like that.
Well, I do.
Well, I-
I think we should have some idea of where they are.
I agree.
I'm not saying that we don't know, that we shouldn't know where they are, but
Okay.
I don't think we should be the ones saying, oh, you can't go there, you need to go here, because that could get political.
That
and that
might be
would-
true.
Yeah, I do think so. I mean, in terms of, I want it in my ward, not in your ward, or,
Yeah, well, it sounds like that's what we're doing. But anyway, that's for another time. They can come and present to us, or we can ask those questions.
Ms. Moore?
Well, I appreciate everything that both of you just said, but I disagree a little bit because I liken this office location to us deciding where the police department itself actually is situated. So I think to some extent I'm just surprised we didn't know. I mean,
Yeah,
at least
that-
I
that
didn't
was
know.
really my thing
And I also feel like to some extent, if we're putting officers in a private space,
with their own surveillance.
I just, I don't know, that just strikes me
Could
as,
be a donation.
Yeah,
It is.
it is.
Oh, so it's,
Yeah, it's donated.
Yes, we don't pay for their
At
office
least that's what we
space.
were told.
very
Okay.
generous of them.
So
But I don't
at
think
the
either
same
office-
time, being a former elected myself, you don't like being surprised if
Yeah.
someone comes up and says, by the way, you're a police officer, it's like, you don't know. Believe me, we have conversations about making sure that we do our best to make sure if you come in and talk to us on a weekly basis or, a bi-weekly basis, or if we know it's something that's really sensitive to we will make sure we get in contact and talk to you. That way, at least because there's nothing worse than, going by and seeing something and someone come up and going, thank you so much as the CRA board for doing that, and you're going, okay.
isn't there usually an officer at our meetings, CRA meetings?
Yeah, we usually do. I was looking to see why they weren't
Same
here, but,
here.
Very well be short and
Yeah.
if they're out there.
but they will be invited, and again, don't get me wrong, this is the CRA's money, and as the board, you have the right to ask the questions to them about the money they're spending, and that is fine to do. They would be in here, we were in almost April, budget's right around the corner, and they would be in here anyway, and they will be in here, and they will give you a presentation on what they've done and what they plan on doing for the next year for the money they receive from us. That's very important. You know that, you know me. there are other departments, we want your money, well, you have to come in and ask the board, and then they don't get the money, because it's part of the process, it's part of being transparent, so that the public can come in and listen and learn what's going on,
Well-
or watch it on.
Well, to be honest, I don't know if anyone in that unit knew, they were just told.
I understand. That's something you need to talk with the decision makers that made that decision, and you have every right.
You will. Ms. Moore, did you have a?
No.
Okay, not to further confuse things, but I just wanted to say too, if we are to have that CRA, Bradenton Police Department discussion, and I don't know, maybe this is a question for city council, but when we look at it as it pertains to the CRA, there've been numerous noise complaints within the CRA, and it really is a discussion about whether or not that is something that is code enforcement or BPD. So, when they come in,
Yeah, yes.
you know, that's, I just wanted to state that. Any further discussion? No. We are adjourned. 3:02.